Hello, hello. I am so happy today. I'm so happy this evening. And I just want to give you a big hug and send you a wave of warmth and joy and peace right now. So many fun little moments happened today. I like to joke that Austin is the city of serendipity and synchronicity. And in case you've never heard these words, serendipity is basically a little happy accident, like being in the right place at the right time, or running into your friend and seeing them on the trail and then having a little moment with them. A synchronicity is something that happens to someone else at the same time who then tells you about it, or like they say, hey, I was at this coffee shop and I ran into this person. And you're like, no way. Like, I ran into that person 2 hours ago, or I was just at that coffee shop. That's more of a synchronicity. Or someone brings up a book to you that you just heard somebody mention. That happens on the boardwalks all the time. We have gotten the energy container of the boardwalks to be the home base for synchronicities. People tell me this all the time. I cannot tell you the amount of times I've recorded a video of the walk happening, and someone will be like, Elle, you're not gonna believe this. This is one that I was recently a part of. I was talking about Elon Musk because I don't think I've ever mentioned this, but in the middle of 2023, I started getting these really strong and really vivid visions that I'm going to meet Elon Musk. And I know that that probably sounds out there. Again, as I've said many times, I have eyes, I have ears, I can hear myself talk. I know that what I'm saying sounds a little bit cuckoo bird, but I don't know, guys. When I have these strong visions, I'm usually not wrong, and they come into reality. This applies to any time I've ever had one of these visions. I'll give you some examples. I do this exercise every year where I write a letter from the perspective of my future self. So what this would look like is, let's say it's the last day of 2023 that just recently happened. I will write a letter dated December 31st, 2024, and I will write just from my stream of consciousness everything that happened to me in 2024 in past tense. Highly, highly recommend writing this way. It's essentially like it's future self journaling, but all written in past tense. It's very important. For purposes of visualization, saying things as if they've already happened puts you into that energy of celebration, which makes that energy even more potent and more powerful. I love that exercise, but sometimes I just feel called to do, future self and or past tense journaling, whichever one resonates with you. Just make sure you remember you're not writing in future tense, and you can write in present tense. Even better if you write in past tense as if you're celebrating. That's what makes it really, really powerful. Because you're signaling to the brain, I have this thing. And I could go way more into this and the energetic importance of this, but when you're operating from a place of I have this thing, you're operating out of abundance and not lack. You're signaling to the brain, I don't need this thing. I don't even want this thing. I have this thing. This thing is within me. So the biggest area that I use this in all areas, but especially with anything to do with my relationships, whether it's friendships or business or romantic, I love utilizing this past tense journaling in that area. Another thing that I recommend doing, which I did a version of before I met Talia, and then I met her, and she told me this story on one of our first walks where she was like, I hope this is okay to share Tal, but she's so open, and literally her north node which is in astrology speak, that's like your reason for being and your North Star, is truth. And so I don't think Talia would be shying away from me sharing this, but she and I really bonded. Oh, let me just tell you that full story. Oh gosh, this is already going to be such a chaotic one, I can already tell, but it's going to be a banger. And by the way, I got to go a little bit early today because I've been somehow going over an hour, and baby girl, what are you doing looking in the mirror? What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you talking to yourself for an hour on the floor? I'd like to take a bath after this. So, okay. But let me tell you that little backstory on Talia. I've told a version of this, I think, in day 7, but I was in a little bit of a sad girl moment. That was definitely an emotional diary. So I'm in a goofy, silly mood. I'm being a little goose tonight, so I can tell it to you in a different energy. So, oh, my darling Talia, this was so fun. So, of course, the boardwalks, which, if you're new here, the boardwalks are my weekly event that I created for meaningful conversations where strangers get together and walk 5 miles. You never know who's going to be there. And that's the magic. The boardwalks brought one of my best friends, Talia, into my life. And here's how. This was walk 33 back in March, April time period of 2023. I was going about my life, and one of my regulars, Lucas, we love Lucas in this household. I am such a stan of Lucas. He has been on more walks than anyone. Lucas is the #1 top spot in the leaderboard regular of the Boardwalks Austin. He's been rocking with me for a long time, and I'll just give you a little bit of a tea. I don't want to go too into this tea because that could literally be a 3-hour diary, and I'm not trying to go into all that. But he is the ex-husband of a girl who was a part of the very beginning of the walks, and then she left the city, and he kept coming. Lucas just dug in and was like, I'm coming to these walks. And honestly, methinks that's iconic. And, oh, what is that? What does the wind say? Oh, it is. I'm right. It's iconic. So we love Lucas in this household. And Lucas brought Talia and her partner, Max, to the boardwalks, which such a blessing. How? Oh, the universe, you funny, funny little comedian, you could be on Rogan and Friends universe. Through college, because Lucas and Max, Talia's partner, went to Indiana University together. So Talia and Max moved to Austin from LA, and they didn't know anyone. And of course, he has this connection in Lucas from college, and they reconnect, and he's like, hey, you guys should come on these walks. And then they did. And then Talia and I, on our very first conversation on the walk, it's amazing how this happens. Like, this is why I am so endlessly energized by my work with the walks, because it really does, time and time again, I kid you not, prove to me that one conversation can drastically change the course of your life. And it's usually with someone that you're not expecting. It's usually in a moment that you're not expecting. It might not even be a conversation. It might even be a moment of discomfort. Like a guy told me just days ago at the last walk that got, torrential downpoured out like Jurassic Park energy. This guy who had come for the first time the week before, I was explaining the design philosophy of the walks, which really allows space for moments of awkwardness and discomfort, because that's where we grow. And sometimes it's not a conversation that changes your life. It's your inability to exit the conversation that changes your life. And I had mentioned very along the lines of what I just said, and I see a light bulb go off in his head, and he's like, oh my gosh, that happened to me on my first walk last week. Like, I cannot believe it. That's exactly what happened to me. He's like, I was in this conversation with this guy for probably 3 miles. And it was totally fine. And I enjoyed talking to him. And he had said that he was on the spectrum and that he didn't quite get social cues. And he kept saying, oh, sorry if I'm ranting again. Sorry if I'm ranting again. He was ranting about something very technical. And my intuition was saying that I wanted to move on and talk to other people. But I just stayed because I felt this sense of obligation. And then when I went home, he's like, I'm a very social guy. I host events. I have no problem leaving conversations, but I couldn't leave that one. And I went home and I thought about it and I was like, oh my gosh, like, why was that so hard for me? And I realized I did that to me. And that I have a little bit of people pleasing in me that I've got to get to the root of. And I was like, holy crap. But why I'm telling you the story that this guy told me just last Saturday, a couple days ago, is because that is a life-changing moment. Oh my gosh. But back to one of the life-changing conversations I've had on the walks. This one was with Talia. I've had probably hundreds of life-changing conversations on the walks. I mean, seriously, that's why they're so magical. That's why I love them so much. I think that's why people freaking love them so much. That's why over 70 people showed up to walk in the freaking rain. I could run through a brick wall. Ooh, I love the walks. But anyway, Talia shows up on this walk, and I was with a boyfriend at the time, and things were not good in the relationship. And I knew that in my intuition. I had known for actually a while, and the writing was on the wall of my soul, but I wasn't willing to read it. I was just like, here's a blindfold to that writing. I had tried to leave and end the relationship a couple of times, but the dog, I literally changed my mind because I looked at the dog's eyes at one point, which so many people have reached out to me saying they related to, and they felt really silly until they watched that video. And that is really special. I'm glad I mentioned that detail, that so many people could relate to that, because it really was a factor, that dog. And there was this other time where I had done like an excerpt, like, I'd ask him questions, just like trying to understand, what were you like as a kid? Like, what is your worldview? I'm very optimistic. I have a very positive worldview. I really do see the best in people. And, I felt like underneath all the layers, he could have had a positive worldview, but he told me he did, but I didn't feel it, It was like this huge dissonance between the words and the actions. And that's why it took me so long to actually leave, because I was believing the words and I wasn't believing the actions. The actions are everything. I will never be persuaded by the words again. It's gotta be the actions. That's what that relationship really taught me. Because someone can spin up the prettiest words, most convincing words, the most persuasive words of, I'm this kind of a person, and this is who I am, and this is how I act. And it's like, no, how do you act? Go ahead. Without my intervention, like, pop off. I would love to just watch. And if I had just like, if he was mute and I just observed his actions, we never would have been in a relationship. Wow, that's a profound realization. Wow, that is actually very true. I felt that one in my core when I said that. That's a powerful thought exercise. Like, if you're someone like me who's gets swept up in the story of it all, I'm a storyteller, baby. You know that. Like, I love the fanfare. I love the thick of it. I love the plot. I love the drama, positive drama, never like the negative drama. But I just love the telenovela plot of it all. I love it to feel juicy and alive and passionate. But sometimes when you're like that and you have a a keen love for the story. You look past the facts and you look past the actions because the story is so compelling. So ask yourself that question, like, for anyone that you're interested in, don't pay attention to the words. Just imagine the words aren't there. What are they doing? How are they showing up for you? How are they not showing up for you? If you wrote out a list of qualities you were looking for in your life partner, is this person actually executing on all of those qualities? How are they doing on those? Are there things that you're overlooking because you're excited? Or that you like their personality? Or you feel like there's a sunk cost because you've been with them? Or maybe you have some intimacy fears and you want to rush into a relationship and you don't actually know this person? Or maybe you don't really know much about them and you're projecting a lot onto it and making it a lot heavier than it should be, when it should be light and easy and you're getting to know them? Are you putting too high of expectations on them early on when they don't deserve that level of effort from you, when they don't deserve that level of commitment for you? This is a lesson I learned literally while I started recording these diaries, because you watched me really have a big fat crush and then tell you guys with a straight face, having a crush is really rare for me, and I closed down all of my options and I stopped accepting date requests and I got off all of the apps, and I haven't been talking to the matchmaker lady who wants to talk to me, and you heard me say all this. I should not do that, and I'm not doing that anymore. I am not doing that anymore because that's silly. That this person has not earned it. Now, he's still in the running and he's acting more right recently, and we'll see. I got my third eye open, I got my head on a swivel because I do like him. But I think sometimes when you like someone, you look past what's right in front of you. And you have to really ask yourself, like, where is that coming from? I'll put myself on display here. Let me analyze myself. It might help you. Why did I do that? Why did I zero in on this crush? Well, this is an interesting one because I really do feel differently with him than I do with other men. There's a calmness and a peace, and I don't feel the need to be in constant communication with him, or I don't wonder, like, when he's not talking to me, like, oh my God, when's the next time that he's gonna do that? That's actually a really unique situation where I just feel peace knowing he exists. So this is a little unconventional, which is why I think I made it, even that I made to mean something, right? So this is kind of a weird one, but like underneath what I just said, like, why did I zero in on him? Because, okay, there's a reality where he's an option, but there are also a ton of other options. That leads me to what's underneath my actions, which probably, and I'm speaking in past tense because I've worked through this over the last, 25 days. There's probably an element of scarcity, which I've definitely fallen into before. You hear this in some of the things that I've said in other diaries where I talk about myself and I'm like, I'm a rare bird, I'm a strange bird, it would take a very special man to be with me. What's underneath a statement like that is that I don't believe that there's an abundance of men who could be with me. I'm basically manifesting a reality where there's few men who could be with me, or at least that's what my mindset is. And that's just not true. But I'm just bringing this to life and using words that you may have heard me say so that I know that, like, I feel like I'm joking when I say those things, but there's an element of truth in every joke. And I have no problem, as you know, putting myself up there as an example of what I'm talking about. But whenever you say something like, traditional dating is hard for me, or I just want to be locked in, or I'm ready for a relationship and I just want to skip the part where it's dating, or I'm ready to find, well, I'm ready to find my person is good, but like anything that makes it seem like there's an element of, this is a drastic word, but you'll understand what I'm saying, hopelessness, where it's like, you need it. Anytime you say something out of that needy, like, oh, I just wish, anything that's I wish energy is coming from lack. And you've got to really understand where that's coming from and heal that in you to move past it and get to a place of letting go. You can't let go from a wound that's not healed. So what I had to work on over literally the last 25 days, and this is an ongoing thing, I've been working on this for a while, this like underlying scarcity. What I had to work on is literally looking at all of the evidence to the contrary of what I am saying. So when I say things like I'm a special bird and it would take a special man to be with me, that literally negates the, I'm not trying to be over, I'm not trying to be obnoxious here, but like that would negate all of the men who have ever expressed interest in me, of which there are many. And when you say things like that, it's like, okay, where is that coming from? Because that's just not objective. Like, if there's only a special bird who could be with you, then why or how could all of these people have expressed interest in you? Because they're seeing what they're seeing and they're liking it and they're making action towards you, right? So what I like to call the stage where you understand the story, understand the belief that you convince yourself of, and you're working past it, is evidence collection. So you have to collect evidence to the contrary of this myth, right? So the evidence to the contrary of me saying it would take a special man to be with me is literally taking a log of all of the men who have expressed interest in me. And this could just be in your head, or you could literally have something called an evidence journal where you write this out. What would this look like for me? And I'm just going to use me because it's more, it's all I can do. So if I were to make an evidence journal of this, I would write down every time a man approaches me in public, the table of construction workers who were kind of like, looking over at me, anytime someone compliments me in something like, oh, you have beautiful eyes, or I love your hair, you look so gorgeous today, any compliment at all, I write that in the evidence journal. Anything that is evidence of my desirability. If I were trying to bust my scarcity mindset with love, this is how I would approach it. I would write out all these things. I would write out every DM that I got from a man expressing interest or asking me on a date. I would write out all of the cute messages that I got on dating apps. I would write out any comments that really felt heart-centered from men about my meditation diaries or my walks, or especially in-person moments, so that you can really feel it. That's what I would do. I would literally write out and get creative with this. Like, it doesn't have to just be romantic. It could even just be, you could do an evidence of anything. This doesn't have to be strictly about romantic love. Like, if you have a myth about yourself, like for example, I did this once with a friend who was like, I feel like I'm not wanted in social situations. Like, I feel invisible. And I had him do this exercise that I'm talking about, where I was like, I want you to literally give me 20 bullet points of evidence of when you've been invited places, or when people have reached out to you and said, hey, we're doing this, do you want to come? And he was easily and quickly able to fill that. And I was like, okay, can you look at what you just wrote and then see that this myth you have about being invisible and that no one wants you around is actually completely false. So now that we've debunked it, we have to understand the root, and then we'll really start to get somewhere, right? Because stories are just the top layer that helps us like cope and understand the really dark wound that's usually going back years from childhood, or from like childhood to high school, maybe college, that we haven't looked at and that we don't want to look at and we don't want to feel, especially. So, not to get too much into that, but I just want to give you a little nugget of how I would approach the scarcity mindset thing, because I think it's just very, very important. And that's a big part of where I am right now with my view of love. It's just so funny. Like, I always talk to Danny and Talia, and I'm like, guys, especially the last 2 days, like after I listened to Tej and Danny on that podcast, and I was crying in the Chipotle, and I was just like, let go, let go, let go, let go. And it just washed over me, this tsunami of let go. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm back on that BS in a good way. Like, wow, my heart is open. I am open. I've let go. I am open to possibilities. I am open to love of all kinds, platonic, romantic, familial. I am open. I am open. I am unattached. I am like literally imagining right now, sink into yourself and imagine that the window of your heart is just bursting open and emitting this giant white light. And people are just magnetized to this white light. And most of all, you feel so overwhelmingly full of your own love. Ooh. And now, just to finish this, even though people are magnetized to this white light, I want you to close the window and bring that white light back into your heart, and really imagine it filling your entire being, expanding from your heart to your broader chest, down to your lungs, and really going through every lung and filling it with this white, bright light, going down into your gut, giving your intuition a whisper that you are all the intelligence you need to make your decisions, to understand what's right for you, to listen to your body. The white light is extending to your legs, giving them a little kiss on the way down. It's brushing to your shins. It's doing a little twirl around your ankle. It's hitting your feet, giving them a little squeeze and a massage. And it's traveling out through your toes and illuminating the entire field in front of you. And what you can see in this entire field in front of you, which is now painted golden with this light, are all of the people who have ever loved you in the smallest of moments, because you smiled at them as you were walking on the trail, or in the biggest of moments, your family members, your best friends, your lovers. All of the people that you have ever loved and who have ever loved you are standing in front of you. And all the people you will ever love are standing in front of you. And it's an army of people. It's just takes up the entire field. All of the people that you've loved and will love. And in that moment, you realize that the love is so abundant. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to fear. You have all the love that you need. It's still inside you, that white, bright light. But when you fill your entire being with that light and you extend it outward, is when you can clearly see all of the people that your love touches and reaches. And when you have that love and it's so overwhelmingly full for yourself, that beautiful, juicy love of self, when you cultivate that love, when you pour into you, when you invest in yourself in all ways, whether it's spending time with you or doing the things that bring you joy, or investing in your hobbies, investing in your sense of community, investing in your business sense, investing in your self-care, whatever that means to you, doing things that make you feel so good, investing in you, taking the areas of your life that are most important as little cups and making sure all of those cups are full. when you get to that point and you have your entire being full of that white bright light, and really do an audit of this. Are you full of the white bright light? Are there areas that you need to fill the cup a little bit more? Focus there first before you go outside of yourself. Focus on filling those cups. And it goes in order. You understand the buckets, the areas of your life that are important to you, and then you make sure that those cups are full on every single area. If they're not full in every single area, you're probably going to approach anything outside of yourself, whether it's making friends or whether it's finding love, out of scarcity. So you need to make sure those cups within yourself are full first. Only then will you find success and ease and love and joy and peace in extending it outward. Audit yourself. Sit here with me right now for the next 20, 30 seconds, and let's do an audit. What are the main cups that are important to you in your life? That could be friendship. That could be broader sense of community and social life. That could be romantic love. We could do romantic love. Maybe the state of love in your life. Your relationship to self. Yes, let's do relationship to self. So social life, your relationship to self, your career and business life, and your passion and purpose, the state of doing things that fill you up. Like you're living your dream life. You're putting in work towards your perfect calendar, right? Those would be my categories, but your categories can be everything. Maybe one is health. So let's just sit with that for 30 seconds and do an audit of the state of each of those categories that are important to you. And those categories can be anything. Let's sit here for 30 minutes and just do some nice breathing and think about this. Okay. You could even make a journaling exercise out of this, honestly, but I'll give you my answers. Okay, on my social life and sense of community, the cup is totally full. I feel so beyond blessed and grateful for the state of my community and my friendships. A lot of that is because I'm a community builder and I see my people every week, and I also have days now where I literally have the biggest serendipity, synchronicities. I go on a walk and I'll literally run into 4 people I know. It's magical. So I feel very, very full on that. On my career and on the business side, I am so full on that. I have an amazing job that I'm so grateful for, and I love what I'm doing with the boardwalks, and I feel so endlessly inspired and passionate about that. I have some actions that I need to take, but I'm so full in that area. I could not be happier about my job that I get paid for, plus my ability to do the walks. So that one, another full cup. On my health, I think that's a full cup. I walk, 2 miles a day. I do HIIT classes. I have this new yoga membership that I go to. I am living in that area. I would put personal growth as a bucket. That one's another full cup. Oh my gosh. I go to workshops regularly. I am so open-minded. I read. I'm just a voracious learner. I go to therapy. I set aside time for these like channeling meetings with Talia's aunt, for example, with Reiki healers. That's another full cup. What else? Oh, love of self. That one's a full cup too. Oh my gosh. Because I take care of myself so well. I always delight myself, like by getting these 2 little plant babies. I just got this intuition to buy them and I didn't stop myself at all. I go into random stores and I treat myself to candles and bath bombs and flowers. And yesterday I deep cleaned my apartment just because I wanted to live in my most luxurious space. And I bought these felt markers and I started reconnecting with my inner artist. I journal all the time. I write, which is a huge mode of expression for me. I do these videos. I host the walks. Oh my gosh, I take baths all the time now. I'm overflowing with self-love for myself. I take care of myself so well, you know? So all of these areas are full. I really would be honest, and you guys know me, I'm very honest. If there was an area that I felt like I needed to really focus on, whether it was, sorry, I got this little like itchy patch of skin on my ear that like sometimes flares up randomly, and it's like this ridiculous urge to scratch it. Oh my gosh, it feels so good. I'm so sorry. I wish you could feel the relief of me scratching that little itchy patch on my ear. Oh my gosh, feels so good. But anyway, yeah, I don't think there's any area, and I really would be honest, is there really any area? The one area that I'd like to dedicate more time to is building out the infrastructure for the boardwalks, because I have dilly-dallied on that a little bit, mostly just because I love the way things are and I'm so proud of myself for what I've built. That change is scary, and I know that the next chapter for the boardwalks is going to be really massive. And I think sometimes in life, there's this quote, the magic is in the work you're avoiding. That's how I feel about it. It's not that I have to grow in any area or that my cup isn't full. It's just going to be an entirely new cup. And I know that. And the work that I'm going to do there is literally going to change everything. I'm going to write these beautiful profiles on people who attend the walks. And I know what happens when I put like my entire heart and soul into work like that. And I just have to be ready and I have to be prepared for it. So it's not that that cup isn't full, it's just a brand new cup that I have to find the courage and listen to the intuition nudge and whisper to get moving on, or to like take the necessary next steps of. But that's just to be honest and vulnerable with you. That's the area that I am working on, and not all the way where I would like to be on right now. But that does not prevent me from feeling like I have all of my other cups full. That one is just like a little different adventure and pathway to take things to the next level. So with all that said, following my own exercise and my own advice, all of my cups are full. That means that I am in the prime position to extend my focus outside of myself, because I've met all of my needs. I'm taking care of myself so well. All of my cups are running over. So if there was a cup, like my health, for example, that I didn't feel like was where it needed to be, I would focus there first, solve that, make sure that cup is now full, and then I'd extend out. Or if my social life was lacking and I didn't really feel like I had rich, fulfilling friendships, or I didn't really feel a connection in the community, I'd start there, right? I'd look around for different communities that meet regularly on Meetup, or I'd look around for volunteering opportunities, or I'd start showing up to events more often, or I'd reach out to friends that maybe I lost touch with and try to reconnect. You could go a lot of different directions for connection there, or maybe like try looking up like local places that have like community driven events. Like bookstores are great for that, or these little kind of like artistic hippie one-stop shops. I'm seeing all these pop-ups to do like pottery, and they have like a bookstore, and they have like these experiences, and they have these regular events. There's so much out there. So if that bucket doesn't feel totally full for you, like really get into an exploratory mindset and say, okay, like I'm an explorer. Here's my explorer hat. Like, let me see what's going on out there. Build that social confidence, and it'll pay off. You will eventually find your people, right? But you will not find your people if you don't put yourself out there. So that's what I would do if that bucket was lacking. If it was my self-love bucket, that's an easy one. Tap into what makes you feel good and do more of it. Like, what are the things that make you feel so good about yourself that you leave feeling so energized? Do you want to do more workshops? Do you want to do more yoga? Do you want to take dance lessons? Do you want to start painting? Do you want to pick up a hobby that you've always wanted to do but you never had the time? Invest there. You know, create a habit muscle around something that really excites you, and something that you look at and you're like, you know what? It's time. It's time to reconnect or establish a new a habit or a routine that's just for me. It's for me connecting with me, right? So those are just some examples, but I really do think that if you want to have your best chance at operating from abundance, which is so felt in the energy, by the way, this is why this is so important, is first, it makes you feel so freaking good about yourself, and it magnetizes people to you like nothing else. But because you are overflowing with love, you don't get attached to the different stories very easily. You're overflowing with love. You're not going to be sitting there thinking this is the only guy on earth who can make you happy, because you're going to be like, oh, actually, I'm overflowing with love, and I am the proof that the love I'm looking for exists. That's what you're going to tell yourself. And then it becomes really fun. It doesn't become heavy. It doesn't become hard at all. It literally just becomes a given. It becomes a no-brainer. It becomes inevitable. And you just live in this juicy trust and surrender for every moment. Just like what I said in last night's video. Like, if it's not this crush, it's going to be this or something better. If it's not this crush, it's going to be this guy who the matchmaker has for me. Or it's going to be my next match on a dating app. Or it's going to be the guy I make contact with on the trail. Or it's going to be the guy who kissed my hands to thank me for a walk a couple weeks ago. It's like, who knows? All I know is I'm overflowing with the love that I have to give, and I am my very own proof that the love that I have to give exists because I am full of it. Right? And you just, when you operate from that place, it's felt. It radiates off of you. And when you're not operating from that place, when you're operating from a place of like, oh my gosh, like I'm scared to date and I'm never gonna find anyone, and you say that kind of energy, you create it. You create a reality where things just never seem to work out, right? If you're in that state, take a pause, go inward, look at your cups, do the cup audit, and figure out how to get all those cups to 100, and then go outward, and then go external and try to find someone. You're gonna have a very, very different dating experience. One is gonna feel very, very heavy. You're going to be very, very upset. You're going to be on the never-ending tilt-a-whirl of, I don't even know, shame, guilt, why am I not good enough? Or you could look inward, make sure all your cups are full, and then just be like, wow, every rejection's a redirection, baby. So which reality you want to live in? I think we all know. But anyway, oh my gosh, I said I wasn't going to talk for that long, and here I am. I'm going to tell you one last story from today, because I think it's so wonderful. The city of serendipity. Here I am walking on the trail, and the weather was so gorgeous today. It was cold, but like so sunny and amazing. I'm walking on the trail, and this biker almost runs me over, and I'm like startled. And it's my friend Brian. Ugh. And he's like, oh my gosh, hey, walk with me to the apartment and we can surprise Annie. I'm like, absolutely. So we walk over to their apartment, and I live like a stone throw away from them, very convenient. We walk into their apartment. I get to give Annie a big hug. Another one of our friends is sitting in there, so we all have this little powwow and listen to some Taylor Swift videos, because Annie is the Taylor Swift historian, just for everyone's information. So she was giving him a formal education. And then I walked out of there, ran into a guy from the walks named John. I'm on the trail. Another guy comes running past named Marshall from the walks. Oh my gosh. Amazing. I get home, check my text. Another person from the walks named Cole has texted me saying, oh my gosh, Elle, you're not going to believe this. I was literally on the bridge, birds scootering around, listening to music, and I see two guys from the walks DJing on the bridge that I was just walking on. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to these synchronicities. And he was like, I was literally put into the universe that I was going to run into people that I knew. And then I run into these two guys from the walks who are just living their life, having the best time DJing. The best part about that is I had no clue that guy was a DJ. What the heck? And I was walking on that bridge literally 45 minutes to an hour before he sent that text. I was like, wow, what are the odds of this? The odds are very high. It was when you're living in alignment and truth and you're just like going with the surrender and flow of every moment, your life is full with things like this. I'm just so happy. And then earlier today, oh my gosh, so much goodness happened. I get this like surprise tweet mention from my friend Zach Solomon, who was like, I literally cannot believe that over 70 people showed up to the boardwalks last Saturday to walk in the rain. And he said, this is a bold statement, but Elle is the only person I know creating a real community of people who like really care about each other and who show up and stick their necks out for people and like really care. And that was just really special to me. Like it felt really special for someone to see the work that I'm doing. And he said at the end, it was this beautiful long tweet. I highly recommend going to check it out. It is retweeted on my Twitter. But at the end of the tweet, he said, this is not just a walk. It's something, much bigger and much deeper to a lot of people. And that is so true. It just felt really like amazing to be seen in that way, to be seen for the work that I'm doing and the work that I like have poured so much heart, soul, and passion into. So that was magical. It was just like all these back-to-back like walk synchronicities. I'm like, life could not get any better than this. Like, I'm sorry, but like there's no topping this. So it was just a magical, beautiful day. And if I could send you a wave of happiness and a wave of energy for any of the things that I just mentioned, oh my gosh, I'm just realizing I didn't even tell you the story about Talia. Oh my gosh, I guess I'm gonna have to tell you that tomorrow. Or whenever the spirit moves me. But I did put some great stuff in there that's somewhat related about the advice that she had given me. Oh, there's the life conversation. She mentioned shared vision being super important for couples, shared life vision. And it's basically part of like the bucket conversation. So I just highly recommend think about what vision you want for your life and make sure that whoever you're interested in has an aligned life vision, because that is one of the most important components. Just to wrap that thread, make sure I covered all my threads here because I don't like to leave anybody hanging. But with that, y'all, look at me talking for another so long again. Goodness. I love you so much for being here. You guys are my favorite, and I want to give you the most giant hug in the world. One day we will just have a giant slumber party and we can talk about all these things live, and it'll be so freaking awesome. That sounds so fun. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. I'm super behind on uploading these to Instagram and all the social medias, but I will do it. I just have to write all the captions. So if you've been wondering where are those, they will be happening soon. I'm going to get back on track soon. But for now, enjoy my little chaotic YouTube uploads so that I hit my daily goal. All is well. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. You angelic creatures. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm wishing you the most relaxing, peaceful, and love-filled week. I would love to know if you took out any action from this video, if you're going to do anything a little bit differently as a result of it. I love to hear about that. Thank you so, so much, and talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.